Would you be more comfortable with your shirt off, Jeff?
Hey, Chad, what episode is this?
Oh, I was going to do that later.
See, I know.
Threw him off his game.
Slappercast episode number 77.
7-7. Is that double hockey sticks?
Yeah, when they're fighting. Because they're up in the air.
And we're here with a very special guest, auxiliary blackguard, I guess you'd call him. our fiddle player, off and on fiddle player for 12 years now, Jeff Duncan.
Hey,
Jeff,
everybody. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Welcome.
And this is the very first time we've done a remote guest, too.
Yeah.
So this is very educational.
Yeah, this is going to be a 12-part series. So thanks for calling in, Jeff. And
Absolutely. Yeah, Ken Burns is helping to write this with the 12-part thing, right? Yeah.
Yes, go Ken. Yeah, man, great to have you on. We're all flying high here on a beautiful Sunday in humid old Houston, and we're like Chad said, this is number 77. We've talked to Jeff for 100 years about coming on here now, so we're delighted to make that happen. And Jeff, the first time we met you was, I said it was at Le Bear, but. Yeah, Chad said it was Molly's downtown.
Yeah, it was upstairs at Molly's.
Upstairs at Molly's.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And you were,
that was after you guys got me fired from Le Bear. So
well, you're not supposed to dance in the kitchen. Don't take your work home with you.
That's right. It's not sanitary.
Yeah, that's why we no longer dance for Thunder Down Under.
That's right.
All this talk, I must go get a hot dog. Sorry. Anyway, let's try to clean it up for a Sunday. But yeah, so we met Jeff. Actually, I think it was an email. So you had heard that there was some Irish rock and roll happening in town. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends that are in the Renaissance Festival circuit. I actually worked at the Renaissance Festival one year in the performance company, they call it, where I was in a little Celtic music trio. And so kind of walking around and hanging out with that group, I got to hear a lot about Blaggards. I heard the album. A lot of people were playing it in their cars and all that. And I was like, man, this is cool stuff. I really love the bands that have violins and fiddles in them. And they're doing stuff that's different with violins and fiddles. I always love that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh man, this is awesome. So that's how I first heard about Blaggards, was just, through that group. And I, listened to it for a while. And then I just got up the courage one day and I said, you know what? I really like this stuff. I'm going to reach out to these guys and just, introduce myself and see if I can inject myself into their band. I know that's usually really bad etiquette with band stuff, but I was just like, oh, I'll give it a shot. So
I have to say it's bad etiquette when you walk onto the stage unannounced, uninvited, unknown, etc., etc. You did the absolute correct thing. It was an email. It was and it was cordial. And it wasn't, hey, you guys are pretty shit, but I could help you.
That's the way I approach it.
Yeah. So I have played live music for a while now, and I think I was in a band when I wrote it to you guys, and I knew, I was like, when I wrote that email, I was like, oh, they're gonna hate me, because I know when I play music and these random people come up and they're like, oh yeah, I play fiddle, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, just go sit down. Yeah. So I felt really awkward, but I'm glad it worked out. Well, it definitely was. And do I detect a Canadian accent? Are you just? Yeah, it might still be there a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. So where are you from? So I was born in Calgary, which is Western Canada. Isn't that where they killed Jesus? No, that was like 5 miles down the road. Okay. Michigan. That's Calvary, right? Calgary. Sorry. It's close. Okay. It's very close. Okay. I think it was, anyway, but yeah, I was born there. I lived there till I was about 8 years old, and I moved down to Houston. So I've pretty much lived most of my life in Houston. But Canadian-wise, I really feel like I more relate to northeastern Canada, because that's where all my family's from. Yeah. And when I was growing up, we would spend every summer when I was out from school up there for 3 months. So I pretty much spent I feel like I spent more time in that part of the country than I did actually in Calgary. So I kind of relate more with that area than I do Western Canada.
I get you. Well, of course we sing your praises often, but I have to say that you definitely, I mean, Eric, you said it too the first time you heard him play. You definitely pull that style in with you. And again, I wasn't familiar with the Canadian, the Canadian Celtic side of music. You as you dig into this music, you tend to find. But I know the first time, because Eric C. Hughes has only been with us a small time, but his eyes and drumming, everything lit up when you played with us, and it would, because it's not Eric's played with easily some of the best players on the planet, hands down. His resume is just we're still in awe. But when we would discuss the shows prior to the performance, Eric's literal hair blew back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to be conservative here. I'm trying not to, but I mean, your face the first time you heard him play, because we introduced him to you on stage.
Yeah, no, when Jeff walked up, I was just like, "Hey, how's it going? Good to see you." Whatever. And then after the first time that when you played Jeff, I was just like, "Oh yeah, this cat's the real deal."
Wasn't it on your back porch the first time you heard him play?
I think so. Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, with that first live stream we did. I think.
The acoustic. Yeah. Really, it was still really one of the more fun. Not that there's any ones that are not. But I remember looking over to you a couple of times and and also Leslie would.
Yeah, she took note too, Jeff. So you. Yeah.
Now, true or false, Jeff? Your parents, Chad's napping right now, so we'll. Jeff, true or false? Your parents used to take you to, your mother in particular, used to take you to these blues bars and just thrust you upon the stage and say, "Take it."
Basically, actually, both my parents did. So both my parents are very musical. My dad is
Peter,
wannabe singer-songwriter. Actually, he has written a couple songs that are really good. And
why are we just hearing this?
And I know he's sort of in the same circuit as your mom, Chad, right? With the whole Kerrville Folk Festival and all that stuff. So
cool.
That's sort of how
Your mom.
Well, I'll get into that later, but yes, they used to take me to Shakespeare's Pub here in Houston when I was growing up, because it was just down the road from where we lived, and they would sneak me in, even though I wasn't 21, and we would go to the blues jams. I think it was Spare Time Willis. I don't know if you guys know him.
Yeah, I've
seen him play.
Yeah. So he hosted a blues jam. It was like on Tuesday nights or something. So we would go in there. And one time you sign up on the list or whatever. And I signed up and I wrote fiddle. And this was very funny. He looked at the list, and he looked at me, and he Spare Time's like your typical old school blues guy, right?
Yeah.
Big, really big guy. And he looks at me and he goes, "Boy, we don't play no do-si-do here." But he let me come up on stage, and they all enjoyed it. He's like, "Boy, you can fiddle the blues." I remember he would say that. And it was really fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that was one of our most favorite things, is we were able to throw these curveballs and at you. I remember writing the set list, and looking at Chad or looking at whoever. And Jeff doesn't know that one. Good. This is the and no fear.
Yeah. One of my favorite memories of that, the very first time he played with us at Molly's, and our friend Brad Jones was in the audience. I remember, so he'll remember all this. And this was key because we were playing a bunch of stuff that you had never heard before. And one of them was, or at least you weren't familiar with. One of them was Fisherman's Blues, the Waterboys. And so we had been in the habit of those two-piece duo shows that Patrick and I were doing on Wednesday nights of singing all the fiddle parts, since it was just the two of us. There's no fiddle there. So you came in. It's the first time we'd ever met you. And so Brad is out, and Brad was singing the fiddle parts too. So as we're playing, Brad is out there singing, and you're like, your eyes are just fixed on him. with this look of intense concentration as you're replicating in real time what he's singing.
Yeah.
And this was the other best thing about it still is the best thing about working with you is like I think you came back for the next week or whatever. You went, all those songs you heard that first night, you went home, you learned every single one of them, and you came back and it's like you had been playing them your whole life, you know? So that was something else.
That's a sign of a good musician right there.
Yeah.
And his parents, which Peter and I are going to have words because I didn't know that he was writing music. But Kathy, your mother, is also, I thought just because she never, Peter and I had spoken at length about Bruce Cockburn and many of these artists that I really didn't know enough about.
Canadian,
yeah. And able to shine that light on. And Kathy would, we'd exchange pleasantries, but there was no real musical talk. But then I heard her sing one night, and Jeff, you had told me that I'm sure it's both, but you had picked up a lot of your harmony and a lot of your melody ideas through her. Mm-hmm. That's when I was stunned. I was like, all right, well, this is the real deal because she is. They're both such fans of music. Full stop. They don't. I know they listen to that grindcore and the heavy rap and all that stuff. But
chopped and screwed.
Yeah, but they listen to everything and they love every kind of music as long as it's heartfelt. If you're going to go up and do the Macarena, I'm sure that they got, they'll make time to go do something else. But it was just such a thrill to see so much music in a family that's it's tremendous. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I give a lot of credit to my parents for exposing me to like you're just talking about all kinds of different styles of music when I was growing up, because it's just, widened my view on different types of music that are out there. And I think that's really helped to influence me in my own playing. Like I remember I have memories when I was a kid of driving in the car and my dad would be listening to Mike Oldfield, like Tubular Bells and 5 Miles Out and like these really crazy prog rocky things.
Yeah.
And I remember I was probably like 8 and I loved it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's just different. And ever since then, I've just been always like drawn to all these different styles of music. And I really credit both my mom and my dad for a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the prog rock thing too, we had the incomparable Mr. Keith York. We took him up to Arkansas with us for a weekend, and of course your name came up over and over again because you worked with him with the Coleman Brothers.
Yes, I did.
Is that correct? Yeah, and Keith is a huge prog rock fan. I am not. Yeah. I appreciate what they did. I don't listen to prog rock at all. But Keith York is the prog rock king of Houston. That's it. Just end the story.
Oh yeah.
But your name came. Yeah.
Yeah. He and I geeked out. We did a gig one time in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and he and I drove together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we geeked out the whole ride just talking about like that prog rock stuff. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
He kept looking at me like, you're way too young to know this stuff. I'm like, I don't know.
It sounds just like it.
Yeah.
God, dog, how do you know so much, Jeff?
Yeah, exactly.
So Jeff, so you get in the car right now. What are you listening to? What's in there? Just
let's see. So lately I've been kind of on a trend. You're going to hate this, Patrick, but lately I've been on a trend of listening to some electronic music, like European electronic music, because I like the beats. It keeps me going when I'm working and when I need to get places.
Interesting.
And there's some like, I grew up playing classical music. That was how I got my start. And a lot of these European DJs kind of use your classical music styling, but they turn them into sort of these electronic things. And it appeals to me for some reason. And it's just kind of what I've been into lately. But I go through phases. Like I'll be into bluegrass sometimes. I'll get into folky singer-songwriter stuff sometimes. I mean, I have these different tastes that just come and go all the time. Yeah. And sometimes I'm listening to like old 1940s country, Texas swing stuff, just so I jump all over the place.
Yeah. And the Texas play, who was it? The Playboys?
Swingfield Playboys, right?
Well, that was the band I used to play in, but
what are they called?
Well, they were called the Swingfield Playboys.
Yes. And who was the legendary Bob Wills' steel player?
Yeah, it was Herb Remington.
Yeah, he passed away lately, right?
It was about 3 or 4 years ago, I think.
Oh, okay. So
go ahead.
So and just on that note, Eric, get in the car right now. What's in your player? What are you listening to?
Dio era Black Sabbath, of course.
All right.
Nice.
Always.
I do have a collection of. Sorry, trying to get dressed here. It's fucking cold in here. It's always cold in here. Collection of mostly Mexican music, but it's American songs, like pop songs from the 60s that they were re-recording in Mexico and Spain and Central America.
I love that stuff.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's called there's a box set called Nuggets, which is a bunch of like 60s era either psychedelic stuff or one hit wonder stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
It's a like 4 CDs or whatever. This is called Los Nuggets.
Okay.
And it's all the same kind of stuff, and it's amazing.
Excellent. I would expect that. Chad, you're getting in your car right now. What's in there?
Lately, it's been nonstop Crowded House because I'm trying to keep my singing voice in shape lately, and that's long been my warm up. Just sing along to Neil Finn's. Neil Finn's range is pretty much where I am or where I need to be.
Yeah,
chocolate cake.
So, and I love that stuff. So I've been listening a lot to their second album in particular, Temple of Loman, which is I think one of my favorite albums of all time, but it's also, I think, the best album they put out.
Excellent.
Personally.
Not familiar with any of that.
That's the one that Better Be Home Soon is on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I only know that song from a duo.
Right.
A duo set.
Patrick, get in the van right now. What are you listening to?
Would you believe there's the Kinks as a live Kinks record in there right now?
Is that the one?
And Glenn, and Glenn Campbell. Some old Glenn Campbell, the classic Glenn Campbell hits.
Can't go wrong with Glenn Campbell.
Wichita Lineman. That's a cool song.
That's a great song.
I like Playground Susie.
That is a cool song.
Playground Susie is my favorite. Where's the Playground Susie? Is my favorite one.
But I mean, you just can't go wrong with. I didn't like when he got into he started doing all that 90s, those 90 cover songs, those 90 hits.
He did a good version of Tom Petty's Walls, though, I thought.
I didn't need any.
Oh my God.
Tom Petty's what?
I'll hip you guys to that.
Okay.
Including you, Jeff. Tom Petty's song Walls.
Walls. I don't know that one.
You got a heart so big,
yes,
it could crush this town.
That's on
I
the
can't
record.
hold out forever.
Is that one
Even
of his later
walls calm down.
Here, I'll get the guitar.
Yeah, let's do it. Fuck, I'll sing it.
What album is
Gosh, that sounds like an old timey country song.
Yeah.
Well, I think Tom's version is kind of shuffly, but Glenn Campbell they put the Glenn Campbell treatment on it with horns and strings and the whole 9 yards.
I do have that one. I apologize.
But it flattens out. It's really good.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, the titles elude me now because of the CD format. You know, if it's a.
It's like his next to last record, I think.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah,
I have that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just kind of get a taste of what everybody's the taste in just the four of us go. I mean, they touch everything. I think they absolutely touch everything. But
I was going to say that live album you mentioned. I thought of that when we did the show. We're talking about favorite live albums.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that until later. That one is really, and I didn't say there aren't a lot of live albums that I like to listen to from start to finish. That one is a rare exception. I can't remember what it's called though, because
Tara found it. I'll get you the name.
Because it's whatever it is. It was never, at least last I checked, it was never actually released in the States.
It wasn't, but Tara found it for me, so I'll get it. I'll get us a copy.
Excellent.
So Jeff, also want to talk about. So we touch on. So when you showed up and you started playing with us a couple of times, and because I know, like I mentioned the Swingfield Playboys, and you've also played with I mean, you played with a bunch. You do the Cowboy Church on here in.
Yeah, we don't do it anymore. Unfortunately, they had to stop the church program. But yes, I played with a lot of different groups in Houston. I actually started out with a guy named David Brake. He doesn't play anymore, but he got his start doing the dueling piano bar thing in Austin. I think what was the name of the place? I can't remember the name he was at, but he kind of got tired of doing that. But he had such a huge repertoire of songs because he did all those, those dueling piano bars. You just play every song out there. So we formed this band. It was him on keyboard, me on fiddle,
and we had a guitar and a bass player. And we just did all kinds of stuff. And I really enjoyed it because it wasn't just your typical country band. It was like we were doing Who, like the Who. We would do like Bob O'Reilly, the fiddle parts and stuff. And we had a whole bunch of original songs that we wrote, and it was a lot of fun. And that was really kind of my first experience doing the band thing in Houston.
Yes.
And we were playing like 3-4 nights a week. We played a lot of the same venues you guys did. We played Brian O'Neill's all the time.
Yep.
And so we were kind of just, in the same circuit for a while doing that sort of thing. And I also play, obviously, when you're in, as they say, it's cliche, but if you're going to play in Texas, you got to have a fiddle in the band. So I play in a lot of country bands too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mostly like the old time country bands. So I play once a month at the Pasadena Opry, which is a show that they do where we bring, it's much like the Grand Ole Opry, where they have guest artists come in and they'll do 3 songs. And basically they send us the set list 2 weeks before, and we have to go through and learn all the parts and all the songs. And that's an amazing band. That group is just spot on. They are amazing. So tight. But yeah, I kind of play all over the place and all kinds of different styles, and that's the way I like to play.
Okay, and so just another off the wall question. I'm gonna go everywhere. So right now, Jeff Duncan sitting in Houston, Texas. You're allowed to be dropped into any band in the world right now. Any band, playing or not. Where do you put yourself into right now? Walk on stage with a band. Who is it? Pick one. Sorry, but that's how we roll.
Oh, that's a good question. One band, if I could pick to go play with, would
anybody.
Probably. Wow. Well, I think Queen would be really fun to play with because they're just the musical ability of that band.
I would love to hear
amazing.
that.
Yeah.
I think they would be really cool just to do some double fiddle with like the guitar parts that they do.
Yeah.
It would just be amazing. And I think also it's a very obscure band, but I would love to play with the Dixie Dregs. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That's who I thought was going to be your first.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to them, Eric?
Yeah, Rod Morgenstein on drums. Come on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lefty.
Yeah.
Lefty drummer.
Yes. Chet?
Probably, I would love to have Gail Ann Dorsey's job. She played bass for David Bowie. And I was just thinking too, like, I think it would have been really fun being in Tom Petty's band to have what was his name? The bass player guy who died.
Dead Man.
Howie. His role. He was a really good backup singer and great bass player. And I was like, that would be really fun playing with those guys because I love all those guys. Ben Mont, Tench, and
just like Jeff, that was 2. Eric 1.
Yeah.
Social Distortion with John Marr on bass and Johnny Two Bags on guitar.
I didn't see that coming.
I saw John Marr play with them back in 1991 and 92 and in 2000 and anyway.
I'm getting fucking old, man.
I think John Marr is the best bass player that band has, and Dennis, the other guitar player, was good. He was just a rhythm guitar player, but the guy they have now, Johnny Two Bags, is awesome. So,
wow.
And of course, Mike Ness is the lead singer. So
yeah,
and then me on drums.
Yeah, of course.
Just to kind of get my yah-yahs out, basically.
Yeah. Well,
you said one. I said one.
Yeah, I like that.
And I was very specific about what one in the band.
Let's give him another one since we all took 2.
No.
I got my one. I got my one.
Somebody knows how to follow the rules.
I'm happy with that.
Well, he's a drummer. Drummers are usually smarter than.
And I'm still the new guy, so I gotta keep my shit together for it.
They can count to 4.
Yeah,
at least.
At least. Okay, Patrick.
In fact, me, I just go Bronski beat. Game over. So Jeff.
Oh, come on.
Jesus.
What?
Not the Bronski beat.
What?
Get out of town.
Erasure. Okay. Are we done?
No. You have to answer. Because I'm curious to know, do you want to play guitar? Would you want to back somebody up? Or would you want to
be the front man
sing with somebody? Yeah. What do you think?
I'd like Michael Anthony's job in Van Halen with David Lee Roth.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, the thing about you, Jeff, is you would go in and you would take, you would be able to, you and Brian May would be able to work together immediately, and Freddie on no problem. Same with Social Distortion, the same thing with, me, I think if I could sing like Michael Anthony too, I would love that job, because I would love to watch the friction and you know what I mean? Just
the
those
spectacle
guys.
that is Van Halen.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to watch and to see how. Anyway, so Jeff, I have to ask as well. People know you, and for the people that don't know, and there's probably only one person that doesn't know, and they're waking up from a coma. Welcome back. Wait till next year. Go back into the coma. Yeah. But
terrible year to wake up.
Yeah, terrible fucking time. But if you you're playing on our record, and I have to say that I was excited about recording anyway. I mean, we've been talking about this for forever, and now we have the opportunity, we have the time. But Jeff, so you really came in and you were able to give us a whole new, just like you do when we play live. You're able to, it's for lack of a better term, I mean, you just put a different shine on the what we do. And so yeah, and I know the last time we had you in the studio, we put you on the spot. We changed some stuff up immediately, and it just felt right. Is it as easy for you to come into that situation and be able to, I mean, do you prefer to work like that, or do you prefer to go home and have the actual sheet music and work on that and then come in and do it?
I prefer more of the on the spot creativity part of it, because I think that it really invigorates me to get in there and kind of get my creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
And sort of work through stuff and put things together, and I'll listen. I'll say, "Oh, that sounds cool like that," and it gets me excited to get that creative process going.
Yeah, and I mean, and you really do. You take to. I hope this isn't coming off as compliments, because none of us like you. No, but that's how it seems to us. We look at you. We look at each other when you're playing. Like, yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for. Let's do it again. Make sure it's not but it feels right. It's got that, it adds so much to the project, having this spontaneity and it's, I know the Police work like that. You're probably too young to remember the Police. It's a 3-piece band. We'll talk about that. But
Jesus Christ.
I've been up for a while, all right?
Yeah.
I've been up for a while. But they heard the songs pretty much for the first time in the studio, and they got to, kind of like the last couple of times that we were in there.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's a little bit more exciting than having to jump in with stuff that you already know, and you might even be tired of playing, or it's not the way that
Yeah.
Able to mold it on the spot.
Yeah.
That's my.
Well, it's funny. Like I think I mentioned before, but I got my start in violin doing classical violin, right? And I played in orchestras growing up. I was in youth orchestras, and that's pretty much textbook definition of you play what's on the page, right?
Yeah.
And I think I got real burned down on that, because it was just kind of like, okay, I'm just playing this over and over. I felt it was fun. I loved the setting of an orchestra where the whole group is playing together and you get that big sound. But, at the same time, I was like, I really just want to get out there and create stuff too, So I really have drifted away from playing orchestras, and now I'm more into the playing live music on open mics, all that, because that really appeals to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think
it shows.
I think too, when you get talking about that spontaneity part of it too, I think it makes you a more hyper aware player when you're playing. It's not taking away from. I think reading charts live for some people will take away from their, not their ability, but I think sometimes the excitement is a little bit detached, because they're so focused on what's on the page. When you're just kind of playing and hunting and pecking your way through stuff, sometimes you're hyper aware, your ears get really big, you listen to what's going on around you. And I think it just comes off as a more exciting performance, I think.
That's a really good hunting and pecking. That's exactly how I'd see it, as a sheet.
And hopefully, erring on the correct side, 9 times out of 10. And you're only really, I mean, when it comes to notes, especially melodic notes, you're only a step or a half step away from the right choice anyway.
Yeah. Wow, that's yeah.
A drummer just said that.
A drummer that can read sheet music and tie his own shoes. Oh
yeah. I got the Velcro.
So Chad, I know you're not a music reader, but I mean, and I know that you're a spontaneity. You're a moment spur of the moment player. Would you like to play in a situation like that with the sheet music and
no,
yeah,
no interest. I tried it. Yeah, I think I talked on a previous show how I tried to learn how to sight read. I just got frustrated and gave up.
Yeah,
because I was trying when I was the piano classes I took where they teach you sight reading at the same time, your keys and stuff. And
yeah,
like, well, this is interesting, but there's no way I'm going to sit through this whole class. So I just gave it up.
Yeah, well, I told this story many times before, but we can just fast forward. But Eric, we were in the van one time. We were listening to or talking about one of these bands that had recorded their sound check, and it was just as glossy and as candy coated as you can imagine. And Eric just kind of throws his hands and goes, "Fuck that! I don't want to ever play in that band."
Yeah,
and that's the moment that we all looked at each other and go, "This guy's all right." Because I like it to sound as good as it possibly can without sounding like it's polished and there's backing tracks and there's I don't want to ever be in that situation where you're in that stereo sounding mixed to a T.
If you want to listen to the record, stay at home and listen to the record.
Yes.
If you want to, and it goes for the performers too. If you want to play like the record, then just fucking hit the tape and just mime along with it. But it's the stuff it's live music that you can feel the air moving. You can hear them changing things. They're not going to play the same solo every night. Or if they do, they hint around the solo. They change a little bit. The vocal changes his delivery or her delivery or whatever.
Yeah.
So the drum fills are different. Mm-hmm. That's the important. That's what live music is supposed to be.
Yeah,
I agree. So Jeff, are you working in any other projects right now? Are you work? I know live music is dead currently, but are you working in any other?
Well, not really much now. I occasionally get a request to do a session here and there. I'm actually in the process of setting up a home recording studio so I can start getting people to, and maybe putting myself out there to get people to, if they need any violin parts or fiddle parts on songs, so I can just send them. So I'm in the process of putting that together. Nice. But in terms of, I'm not really doing much musically beyond working with you guys right now, to be honest. There's just not much going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
There's one other group I play in. It's a Zach Brown band tribute thing that we put together just recently. That's fun stuff too, by the way. That's really fun stuff to play. But we were supposed to have a show, I guess it was last weekend. It was the same weekend you guys were going to be at Wildcatters. I was actually doing Wildcatters with you on that Friday, and then I was playing with this band on Saturday at Wildcatters. So it was going to be a double header.
Interesting.
But of course it got postponed. So I don't know when we're going to do that again, but I think it might be in October. But that's the only other group I've really kind of been active with right now.
You mean Rocktober?
Hey,
there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and Jeff also came with us to Ireland. Speaking of Rocktober, while back. How many years ago was that? 3?
It was 2016.
16?
Yeah, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
That was intense. That was really fun. That was your first trip to Ireland, correct?
Yes, first and only trip.
Wow.
And we have to do that.
Had
again.
a blast.
That was
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. The other nice thing too is, for people that don't know, when we took Blaggards back for the first, when we went back the first time, I remember the American friend saying, "How do they take Irish music being played by Americans in Ireland?" I said, well, "We're about to find out."
Yeah,
and it was terrifying because the Irish are very like it's kind of like a big Pennsylvania in that they will tell you to your face if you're not good. And they'll probably add more to it. So you're probably not as bad as they would say you are, but they will tell you everything that, and so the first year we went across, it started to set in because more people than not asked me, do you think you're going to make it out alive? I was like, I think so. Oh, no, I'm scared. So when we went back with you as well, we'd done it a few times when we knew, but you, of course, had no idea how, first time to Ireland, obviously you don't know, but they were, especially the places that we played were just so thrilled with your execution is so different than a lot of the other fiddle players that we play, because you always brought, like I say, that Celtic Canadian twinge to it, but you also added a lot of your own, like my good friend David Lee Roth. You guys probably never heard of him. He says, all these years of travel and all these years of experiences and everything that he's done, it's all in his voice, and that's the same with you because of your extensive your work. You're like you as well. You played with so many different people at so many different levels of tastes and styles and areas and festivals and big stages, small stages, house everything, so you bring that with you and it adds to your playing. So you bring with you that, and I think that's immeasurable as far as a performer and a player goes. When you take that stuff with you, you take that DNA from every place you've been and you incorporate. That's with Jeff, with you, it seems to be more evident in your playing than a lot of the players that we played with, because it just seems like, and I wish I'd given this some thought because I could make it sound coherent, but your playing delivers your soul. Your personality, all comes out in your playing, and I think it's because of that. I think it's because of the you're not just your extensive taste, but you've played with everybody, and I know of a couple of people that you've turned down, in our backstage storytelling. I've heard a couple of the horror stories and stuff like that, which are, we need to do an X-rated Slappercast and talk about all that stuff, because it really is. It's true. I think it's the kind of stuff that makes us keep coming back to playing live music to relive some of these. Do you have any horror stories that are maybe not triple X rated?
Let's see. I've got a few. I think one of my favorites was I was playing a band. I was playing with the David Brake Band, and we were playing at I don't remember what the bar was, but it was just your typical neighborhood bar. And I think there was a birthday party there, but they were celebrating this lady's, I think it was her 70th birthday or something. She was definitely an older woman.
Nice.
And
did you get a number?
Well, just wait.
Shit. Chad, cut that out.
So she was up on the dance floor. It looked like she was wearing a nightgown or something, and she was dancing around. She was obviously quite inebriated. And she came to the stage and handed me a drink napkin folded up. And I thought, okay, she's requesting a song. And I opened it up, and inside the napkin it said, "Why don't you fiddle me, fiddle boy?" And it had her phone number in it.
Do you still have the number?
Like, okay. And I was sharing it with the other band guys and said, "Check this out. This is hilarious." And the drummer said, "Oh, can I have her number?"
Drummer.
Okay,
Drummer.
Here you go.
Drummer.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, you tell my mother, she's got to cut that out. Chad, any good stories? Any of the top of your head?
Horror stories like that?
That's not a horror story.
That's a great story.
Fucking dreams.
Yeah, it was
are
a
made.
funny story.
Yeah. Eric?
I can't think of anything else right now.
Eric's got the best ones, but Eric's always come out when the mics are off. He goes, yeah. Then there was,
Well, I had one last. I think I had one last week that I told like the beginning of it, and I said, "Oh, we'll talk about that during the podcast," and we never did. It never came up again, and now I can't remember what it was.
It was something about wasn't there like farm animals?
Probably.
Yeah. Hopefully. Can you just tell us?
Willfully.
Yeah.
I can't. I'll have to go back and listen.
Just make fun.
If I go back and listen to that podcast at the very beginning,
yeah, Chad,
I'll find the story and
rewind it. Yeah. So,
there was the one time there was the beer bottle and the biker chick. I mean, that was interesting.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Jeff's like, let me get the kids to bed. Oh.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be for the X-rated podcast.
Yeah. It's just Yeah, we've had. I mean, we've had some. I remember. This wasn't a horror story by any means, but I just remember the one time the person comes to the front of the stage, and Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm infallible, so don't bother. The chick comes to the front of the stage, and she's asking me something I couldn't hear or I didn't want to hear, and she's telling me about this fiddle player that she has in her entourage, you know, and she wants him to come up and play, and she's telling us how he's the best.
Oh yes,
you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, and I wish you were having an off night, but I remember distinctly. You know, there's times when people play out of their minds, just can't hit a wrong note. Everything is just the sound's good. You know? And it was one of those nights, and it shows you at that moment that that person has probably had too much to drink, and they're probably lived, you know, double their life expectancy. You know what they should have been on the planet for. They're past it. And but I remember in the group, because of her. This is where getting hazy. I remember the people in the group were kind of pushing their chairs further and further away from the stage because they had been able to see what was being delivered on the. And she's, you know, hey, why don't you let him get up and play? You know, he's, you know, it's like the harmonica player. Hey man, why don't you let me sit in? You know, no.
Yeah, I have this thing too, and that I remember that situation because she came up and she was saying things like, "Well, he's the best player in Texas" or something like that. I'm just like,
yes.
Who says that? You know,
yeah.
Who goes up to a band play and says that to somebody? I mean, come on. But I remember I got my competitive nature came out at that point, and I was like, "Okay, you want to play that game? We'll play that game."
Yeah.
So. My response is always, if you're so fucking good, why aren't you playing tonight?
On Friday.
Where's your gig tonight?
Yeah.
Go sit down.
Yeah. It truly is. And music gives, alcohol gives people the ability to go and proclaim those things.
Courage, liquid courage.
And you know, again, you don't have to be the best band. You don't have to be the best player. You don't have to. But if you're, because we know of bands that have been unplugged during their set and sent home, you know, and I'm talking about places that have music on a regular basis. And Jeff, you know these guys as well. They've been unplugged during their set and asked to leave because they're awful.
Yeah.
And we have, we were talking before the mics were turned on today about Chuck Berry being stiffed, Little Richard being stiffed, you know, before and after the shows, you're not getting paid and just do it, you're gun to the head. And so, and the things that they had to go through to pave the way for rock and roll to be what it is today. And then you have these guys that can't even play that are going into these clubs that are getting thrown out, which again is devaluing the bands that are capable, and the bands that are capable of not only bringing people, but keeping people and entertaining people and making people, you know, like the four of us right now. It's because of good bands and great music that we want to keep trudging ahead and keep going and going and going, you know. So, and I should have apologized at the beginning of this. I am extremely up today. I am overly hyper today. I've had just a beast of a day. So long-winded, Chad. You can edit as much as you like. I don't care.
No, this has been great.
But and also it's a thrill to have Jeff on with us because we're, as you can see, we're four of us now, and we're very, very happy and honored to have Jeff on our Slappercast 77. I digress. The music and the bands that have come before are, you know, we'll never stop tipping our hat, never stop wishing and fantasizing about what could have been and what should have been and where we could, you know, part of our
on the shoulder of giants, as they say.
There you go.
Exactly.
I have a question for Jeff. Jeff, this is Eric. How are you?
Eric C. Hughes.
I'm good.
My question is, how did you choose the fiddle? Or did the fiddle choose you?
Well,
my parents wanted to start me on piano, but they lived in a small house and they couldn't get a piano in there. So they decided to put me on fiddle instead. So that's really kind of the basis of it, because both of them were piano students growing up. So they wanted me to do piano originally, but I think they couldn't afford it at the time, and they just didn't have a big enough house for it. So they put me on fiddle instead.
And how old were you when that happened?
I started when I was 4.
Whoa.
4, yeah, that makes about sense. And you're 14 now?
Yeah.
No, 24.
24. And your brother Andrew, does he play?
He played saxophone all through high school. They tried to do piano with him when he was growing up, but he didn't stick to it. So, but he's a great guitar player now. He taught himself to play, and he does guitar and bass, and he's really good at it.
Excellent. Yeah, I knew he had to do something.
Cool.
Because you just don't escape. You know, you don't walk out of the Duncan house without music attached.
Oh yeah, he's the same kind of thing with me, where his music tastes are so eclectic and they're all over the place. And he and I don't always see eye to eye on music, and we always kind of argue about it. But we're both into like very eclectic kind of styles, so it's fun to see what he's listening to, and I'll compare it to what I'm listening to, and we'll have long talks about it. So it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah. I have to say too, I spoke to my mother last week. My mother's first question is always, "How's Peter and Kathy?" Mm-hmm. Every single time. So your family's been huge, not just on Blaggards, but on throughout all our lives. So
they're my biggest fans. I mean, they have always been following me in all my musical endeavors. Like they go to every show almost. They're super into it. My mom always tells me, she says, "Thank you, Jeff, for giving us a life," because they go out and meet all these people and they go to all this music stuff. And so the fact that they come out and support me so much is just really awesome. And I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you definitely owe it to them, and I promise you, there's nowhere else that you could have been reared without or without them, you would you'd just be another harmonica player asking in on a Saturday night.
My mom has like all the patience in the world, because she went with me to every single violin lesson I had when I was growing up, would take copious amounts of notes so I could come home and practice. And she would force me to practice about an hour a day, every day. Yeah. And so it was, and of course I kicked and screamed and cried, and I was not having it, but she persisted. And I'm trying to teach my daughter how to play now. And I'm saying, man, you have much more patience than I do. So
but Charlotte, she does play though, right?
A little bit, yeah. We started her about a year ago, and so we're trying.
But as a parent, they don't listen to parents. I mean, you really have to take them to somebody else for them to listen and to, right?
Yeah, and it's weird right now, because we were doing lessons in person, but of course with the COVID stuff happening, all of her lessons are now over the computer, and I don't know if she necessarily gets the same experience over the computer. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, music is, like Neil Diamond says, hands touching hands, you really have to be that, I mean, and I appreciate the computer stuff. Now, Eric teaches drums online. Do you find the same thing? Do you find it's especially with younger kids, it's harder to get through to them on computer than it is in a.
Yeah, because I mean, you can't always get the right angle of what you want to do, and with drums especially, sometimes it's hard to, when the sound overrides the microphone and stuff like that. So I'm starting to do a couple more in-person lessons.
Good.
But definitely keeping, the 6 feet and masking and the whole 9 yards, but that goes and stuff like that. So yeah.
And Jeff, you taught for a time, didn't you?
I did for a little bit, yeah. So I got laid off, and I decided to go into teaching. So I was doing substitute teaching, but I was also doing private lessons at a high school, because my former orchestra director was the director at this high school. And he said, "Yeah, why don't you come in and teach some of my kids?" So I did that for a little while, but didn't really take to it too well. I don't think I have enough patience for it.
Yeah. yeah. I mean, it really does take Eric's been teaching for a long time, and we're pushing him more and more towards the, go teach. I think everybody has to. I think every child on the planet needs a music lesson or 50, and they have to work in a restaurant at some level. Everybody should do that. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. I mean, to have a perfectly functioning society, everybody should do those things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I just think it would make for a better place.
We'll bring back the draft, but it'll be for the restaurant service.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I like that.
Yeah. We'll call it the craft.
It's in order to get your citizenship, you have to do a 2-year shift at a restaurant somewhere.
There you go.
At the Olive Garden.
First 6 months are in fast food. Then. Your first 6 months are in fast food, then they move you up. You get promoted. Just like being in the Army. You start out private, then you're a corporal, then you're a sergeant.
There you go. See, we just fixed everything.
We just solved everything.
We just did. But again, I'm not even keeping track of the time. So I think what we should do is we should kind of put a bow on this one, and then we should try to get you in here again, but in person. Now that we know that we can do the online, we can do the call-in thing. I think what we should do, Jeff, is try to get you in here and do an in-person one. I'd love to kind of show them, which I should have done, and I thought about it 100 times this week, as maybe get the fiddle and just kind of show some different styles and just, be able to, but I think that might be fun to kind of do it in here and do a little impromptu,
Sure. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But I've just, my head's spinning. We have to bring you back in the studio again. We got some new stuff.
Yeah.
We got some new stuff to, Eric and Chad haven't even heard it yet, but we're gonna put some new stuff on the record and then put a bow on that too, because we're dying to get that out. And I just can't. Do your folks have a turntable?
Yes, they do.
Because I want to hand them a disc. I want to hand them an LP with Jeff Duncan, on fiddle.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I want.
Are you guys doing an LP of it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Totally.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But I'm designing a album cover in my head right now. So
nice.
Yeah, we're gonna put So we have to get the Penlands, our good friend the Penlands. We have to get them to do a group shot of us, and so we're gonna do an LP with liner notes, everything. So I'm just excited because all my years of reading all this crap, all these album covers and. Who did what and the pictures from all the studios and all this stuff. So we're going to do the same thing. And I just, like I say, your parents have been so good to us, following us around and just coming to Ireland with us and, letting us, giving us permission to warp their son. But it's been, they're truly, they're the giants, and, we appreciate the shoulder ride.
Well, my parents love you guys. Every time I tell them that I'm doing a show with you, they get super excited. They're like, "Yes, we're gonna come!" So they love you guys big time.
Yeah, they're coolest. They're coolest. So, yeah. So
cool.
So we'll do this again, and I can't thank you enough for guinea pigging the Skype call-in. Number one. You're on.
This went really well.
I think this is the new reality of things. So it's,
absolutely. We're a little late to catch up with this part of it.
No worries. Well, great. I really appreciate you guys invite me to come on. I've been looking forward to this for a while, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, let's do it again in person and say hi to the family. And man, thank you for doing this, and thank you for all your playing on the making us play better.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for giving me a chance on that first email. I mean, it's been
That's right.
It's been a ton of fun.
Been a wild ride.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you,
All
Jeff.
right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. See you guys later.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cool.
Do we want to just...
Are we still rolling?
Yep, we're still rolling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with Slappercast 77 continuing now, anything moving forward that I know that we had talked about.
What was it? 2 weeks ago, we recorded a brand new song that you had written like the night before.
I wrote on our 16th birthday, just so you know.
And it's called Sweet 16. And
How does he do it?
I think you recorded. You said you had a new tune that you'd written like the night before that we talked. So I came over before we already had a session booked at Paul Beebe's studio. So I came over and met with you like for an hour before we went over and met Eric at the studio with Paul. And so you showed me the chords and everything. And so okay, cool. So we went to the studio and played it live for the very first time. And Paul gave a little input on how to configure the chords and the verses, I think. And so then we have that version. I don't know if that one version is going to come out because we've now changed it. So we did a rehearsal earlier this week here in the Dublin residence for sessions. That's right. That's the other thing. We'll get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. But so we expanded the arrangement again. So I don't know if it's going to change again. But
I added the halftime part.
Yeah, you did. There's a halftime section in the
part
middle.
out, Chet.
Right.
Thanks, Chuck.
Which we expanded. So you can. That's the part that's.
It was so nice. We played it twice.
The clip that's on Patreon right now has that section in it. So if you want to hear that part, but anyway, it's really cool. And to me, it didn't sound like anything we've done before. To me, I have to say, to me, it sounds familiar because I know what, most people don't know the kind of stuff we've been doing behind the scenes. To me, it sounds totally at home, but for most people, I think it sounds like, wow, because it's not generally not the kind of stuff that we play.
Yeah.
I think you can definitely hear our musical influences.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
If you listen to that song, you say, oh, this sounds like so-and-so. That's because it probably does.
Yeah,
sound like so-and-so.
Right.
That's who we like. Or, sounds like this or that. So,
and there's a lot. This song has a lot that you could pick out, I think. But to me, it sounds just new. But it sounds like us. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, that's a great description.
Anyway,
it's new. It sounds like us.
Yeah. But yes, so Sessions. Sessions is Tim Westergren. From he's one of the founders of Pandora Radio, which Pandora has been exquisite, just absolutely top drawer, amazing for us. We have met so many people through Pandora, and hats off to Pandora. Anyway, Tim was one of the founders of Pandora, and he's doing a new project right now called Sessions Live. So when we recorded the little Patreon snippet, we were actually sound checking for them. So what Sessions Live do is they do a live stream and they advertise it and they help build our following for the live stream. So what we're doing now is learning how they work and what they want sound wise. So we set up in here and we gave them an electric show to see what they would use, and we were able to make everything jive, and then after that, then we recorded the song, which Eric decided to completely butcher. It was nice. We're always trying to push the arrangements, and never one to just sit on a piece and just let it die like that.
Right.
We just keep adding to it, push a little extra meat on it. So Eric had a was it on the spot? Was it an idea you had then and there, or was it something you thought about because we had played it at Paul Beebe's BB Gun Studios?
What are we talking about?
The song
in general.
Yeah. Just because you had the idea to put the solo in, then the halftime.
Oh yeah, because I thought that it seemed like it just went right from the second chorus right to the halftime, and it felt kind of choppy to me. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it just felt like we needed something a little bit extra. And there's let's do a short solo over the verse and then go into the halftime thing and then come back out of the solo. It just seemed to be like that way. It helped kind of make the song a little quasi-symmetrical. It's like first chorus, solo, halftime, solo, verse, chorus, and just kind of seemed to make it a little more, I don't know, just a little bit longer. Not quite so we're en route.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So
I think it works great because there's just something in songs like, I always call it momentum, where certain things, when they happen at the right time in a song, help to propel it forward. And
Yeah.
there's something about structuring in that way that every time the first solo, then that part, and then another solo right after, it's like kind of steps on the gas every time that happens.
Yeah.
I love that.
I go back to, and Eric, please plug your ears. That goes back to what I said, what I've always said. If you got a shit drummer, you got a shit band. We got a good drummer, and we got a drummer that listens.
He's a musical
and play, and thinks of it like a piece, not just let's just get to the end of it. And so it was just very fun.
Well, plus also, if you think about it, the band could have two soloists, a guitar and a fiddle or whatever the other person happens to be. So, maybe have the fiddle play the first solo and then have the guitar come out that halftime thing just roaring, like Chad says, with that momentum.
Yeah.
Because
really
it's like, you hit that, it's like when you hit traffic and you slow down and all of a sudden traffic clears and you fucking take off again.
Oh, see, I never take off. I always go slower after it breaks up.
Yeah.
I
just don't want it to end.
I go as fast as humanly possible.
Yes. Yes, you do.
all of our super talented people we played with have been good arrangers, including Jeff. It just makes me think of Turi as well, was a fantastic arranger.
Speaking of Turi, I'm glad you said that, Chad. Mm-hmm. So Turi was our first fiddle player, and Turi, I think some of her best work was done on standards. I think I think she did a counter melody in Rocky Road to Dublin, which few fiddle players I've ever listened to. But I think that's the best part of the song. It just hands down. The melody that she put under that, when the song starts to pick up. So
that's my favorite track on that record, actually.
Is it really?
Because of all that. I mean, just for a lot of things. But one of the things I was just thinking of that when I mentioned her, because when we were arranging that song, it might have been before she came up with that end part. I can't remember, but the solo originally was going to be before we modulated. The modulation was always there. Yeah. You had that modulation from D to E when I first met you.
Oh yeah.
You did that solo acoustically. That's one of the cool things about it. I was like, this is really, I'd never heard the song before. And anyway, so when we're arranging it, the three of us in this room right over here.
Let's go in.
Which is now his bedroom. It used to be the music rehearsal room.
Yeah, the sex swing takes up the whole. Anyway, let's go.
All the space.
Turi suggested that we move the solo to after the modulation, so it's after we go to E, then the fiddle solo comes in. And as soon as we did that, it was the same kind of effect. It was like, wow, now the song's really cooking when we did it that way. It was anyway. That's an example of that. So.
Yeah, she also was the one that put the guitar solo at the end of Foggy Dew, which was
that's right.
Anyway, so enough about Turi McLean, Turi Hoyseth McLean. She is in San Francisco, and she's still a wonderful friend. And also, we just turned 16. Did we mention that?
Yeah, that's right.
Sweet.
That's the song.
But when we're going to do this, and this is going to happen, so we're going to do an anniversary show, and it's probably going to be the 20. I think we're going to do the 20 somewhere, but we're going to, probably Red Rocks, or we're going to do it somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Turi, Chris Buckley, Jeff Duncan. We're going to have all these fiddle players, and we're going to have it's going to be
epic,
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Look at you.
Thank you.
You go, girl.
Phenomenal.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, I think that's the bow that you were talking about. That's a nice little neat, pretty bow to put on this episode. Anyway, thanks y'all for listening, and do join us on Patreon, because we do have the song we're just talking about is on there right now, and there's going to be more.
Just a little addition to that. I think that because we did the little piece in the room. I think what we're going to do as well, because our Patreon people have been so good to us, I think what we're going to do is we're going to record we have another new song. I don't think it's going to go on the record, but we got another new song that we'll get to.
That we haven't heard yet?
You haven't heard yet.
Good. I love that kind of stuff.
But I think what we'll do is we'll record it and we'll send it out, because it's anyway, without saying too much about it, I don't want to get your hopes up, but I think it's a funny song. I think it's but we're just gonna do it for Patreon, and I'd like to, just going forward, I'd like to put more of these live performances, these little snippets together for our Patreon crew, and just a little extra thanks for believing in us and helping us, get moving and keep moving, and hopefully get you moving. And but thank you for listening, and big thanks to Jeff, and also extra thanks to Chad for doing the extra homework and bringing all this stuff together. All
the gear.
We've as dismal as you think it might be, just remember it's going to get better. And when it does get better, we're going to keep it better. And if I could offer one piece of advice, and this is the only time I'm going to be serious, probably this month, maybe for the next few months, but please take care of yourself. And if you can, boost your immune system, get a little bit of exercise, and just we need you happy, healthy, and ready for our return to the stage. And just take care of each other. Thank you for listening. Cannot thank you enough. And John Nania, notice one time we didn't mention Beatles or running. Oh, shit, Chad, can you cut that off? We love you all. Thank you.
Nice guys.